Hey guys, my name is Dion and I hope you've been having a wonderful day. Today we're gonna see if I can beat Pokemon Black and White only using fire type Pokemon. With that, let's go ahead and go over the rules. I can't overlevel my Pokemon. I can't use items in battle, but held items are okay. I will be using other Pokemon for HMs and I will be playing on set mode. If you like the videos that I post, subscribe and like the video, and let's go ahead and jump right into it. Now, this challenge is an interesting one because is it really a challenge, or do I just want to have a lot of fun and squash people? There's like two overpowered fire types, so I'll let you decide. We get our starter Pokemon Tepig and we name him Dawkins. Heading to Striaton City, we fight our rivals a total of 5 times, which has to be a world record because I don't remember any other Pokemon game where you face your rival that many times before the first gym. Anyways, I'm not going to show the fights because it was too easy, but I am surprised Dawkins didn't go over the level cap. To the right of Striaton City, we can get a elemental monkey, but unfortunately, we can't choose which one we get. It has to do with what starter Pokemon we got, and since we got a Tepig, we get a Pansage, so no Panseer, but I'm sure we'll figure something out. Or maybe not. I thought I was just going to spam Tail Whip and Tackle, but we get hit with a crit bite or flinches. And I've not even had his ace yet, and I know I'm gonna need as much HP as possible if I want to stand a chance. So I try again and again, and if I can actually get past Lillipup, Pempor is right there working up and blasting me with Water Gun, not standing a chance. A couple attempts later, and I found out if you use a move like Tail Whip and spam it each turn, then Pempor will actually do the same and spam Work Up. So let's see how I use that to win. For Lillipup, it was a straight fight, no strategies. We would get hit with Bite, and Dawkins would spam Ember. We eventually knock him out, and with a berry, we get left with 30 HP. He sends out Pampor, and this is where things get a little funky, because we spam Tail Whip 5 times in a row, and he does the same thing, but with Work Up. One thing I realized is when I switch into a different move, he will use another Work Up before doing an attacking move. So I used Tackle to one-shot Pampor, and what can I say? Am I a genius or what? Don't quote me on that. As we casually cruise the street, Team Plasma stole a kid's Pokemon and we follow them and fight. That's when Dawkins evolved into Pignite, and that's the only reason why I'm talking about the story. I'm sure you heard this story 1,000 times, so I won't really talk about it unless something happens. But yeah, we get the kid her Pokemon back, and now we can look for our next Pokemon until I remembered, yeah, we can't get one. Just yet. We have to beat the normal type gym leader, but it should be pretty easy. We are part fighting now, so let's go ahead and do that. Herdier comes out and lowers our attack, which is unfortunate, but okay. He's faster and uses takedown while I use arm thrust. We weren't doing much, which was concerning until we got a crit KOing her. She sends out Watchog and uses hypnosis, but misses, giving us a free turn by using arm thrust. Next turn, we get hit with a retaliate, but we live on 12 HP and use another arm thrust, but we only land 3 hits, not finishing him off. We were so close, but she heals Watchog and uses retaliate again to KO. Wow, I wasn't expecting to lose like that, but it's alright. Let's try again. This time I use Work Up while she uses Leer. Next turn she uses another Leer and we use arm thrust, leaving her on red HP. She heals next turn and we use Flame Charge, making us faster. So next turn we go first using arm thrust, getting the KO. Watchog is next and we use arm thrust. After that we get hit with a Leer, which is an odd thing to do, but I ain't complaining. Next turn we KO. We're gonna pretend like the first attempt didn't happen. With that, now we can get our first encounter in Pinwheel Forest, being Panseer. But first we gotta search for a bit because they're not that easy to find. Luckily it didn't take more than 15 minutes, and after finding him, we named him Pixarolls. After a bunch of story, we make it to Castelia City where we can head to the desert area to get our next Pokemon, Darumaka, where we name him Strudel after a toaster strudel. It just didn't fit. We train up a bit where Pixarolls learns Flame Burst, and with that we can evolve him, turning him into a Simisear. Berg is about to be a joke. We one-shot Whirlipede with Flame Burst and then he sends out Dwebble. I never know what its weakness is, so I just put it asleep and send out Dawkins, and use arm thrust, and it wasn't super effective, so I just used rollout to KO. His last Pokemon is Leavanny, and he uses protect, stopping my rollout, but it's fine cause with one flame charge we KO, getting our next gym badge. Heading back to the desert, Bianca gives us a call telling us that we should battle. So we meet up and it was pretty easy. Strudel was putting in work, fire punching Herdier and surprisingly Pampor. Who would have guessed that he could take 3 water guns? Okay, nah, I'm just playing. We had an Eviolite on him, so let's be real. Strudel is a powerhouse, but one hit and he's gone. She sends out Muna and Strudel finally goes down, but we just send out Pixaros to one-shot Muna with Bite and then one-shot Servine with a Flame Burst. We also fought Sharon, who destroyed 2 of my Pokemon with Razor Shell, but we made an epic comeback getting the win. In Nimbasa City, we run into In and we fight, but he's never challenged until the In fight, but I just thought I would mention him. Also, still no fire types here, so with that, let's fight our next gym leader, Elesa. She sends out Emolga and uses Volt Switch while I land a Fire Punch, leaving her on 1 HP. Next turn, she heals while we use another Fire Punch, but this time we get the KO. But we do get paralyzed. She sends out her other Emolga and uses Volt Switch, so I hit Zebstrika instead, getting him to red HP. We were so close. How unlucky. Next turn, she heals and Paralysis finally hits, preventing us from moving. Next turn, we get taken out by Spark. So I send out Pixaros and use Dig, but we get hit with a Spark first. Once Dig lands, we leave him on red HP again. We are so close every time. Next turn, they use Volt Switch and I hit Emolga with a Flame Burst, but it wasn't enough and we get taken out by another Volt Switch. I sent out Dawkins and as you can imagine, they use Volt Switch, but at least I finally take out Emolga. The bad part is that we get paralyzed and Zebstrika uses Spark, leaving us on red HP while I use Flame Charge. But we couldn't move, getting taken out next turn. How unlucky was that? My face said it all. Alright, let's try again. After Emolga Volt Switch, we use Fire Punch, leaving her on red HP and get paralyzed. She heals and with another Fire Punch, we KO. She sends out another Emolga and uses Volt Switch again, so we end up hitting a mean Fire Punch to Zebstrika, leaving a burn. She heals again, but this time I tested my luck and used Facade, and it worked. Every time I tried using it while paralyzed, it never works. So this was a surprise. It didn't kill, but the burn sure did. Strudel finally goes down to a Volt Switch, so I sent out Dawkins and I genuinely don't know what I was on because we get 2-shot with Aerial Ace. I should have known better. I sent out Pixaros to deliver the final blow being Flame Burst, beating Elesa. I swear, this was just unlucky the first time around. We crossed the bridge and it turns out we can't face the gym until we fight some Team Plasma trainers. So we go do that and along the way there's still no new Pokemon we can get, so after we capture the bad guys we go straight to the next gym leader, Clay. As you can imagine, it was not easy, but it wasn't as bad as you think. Like sure, the first thing Krokorok did was use Swagger, making us confused and hitting ourselves sometimes so bad I had to instantly restart, or Plapitot would be faster and uses Muddy Water, also lowering our accuracy, causing us to miss, so next turn all my Pokemon would get wiped. Or when Excadrill would almost always use Hone's Claws first, and since we can't one-shot it, we would get one-shot instead. Man, that was a little crazy, huh? But I finally get this round where this happens. Dawkins gets confused by Swagger, but we still KO Krokorok with Arm Thrust. He sends out Plapitot while I send out Strudel and he sets up an Aqua Ring. Next turn, he uses Muddy Water, leaving us on 22 HP, also lowering our accuracy, causing us to miss a Fire Punch. But it works out because he finally missed a Muddy Water, causing us to hit a Fire Punch. But unfortunately, we get taken out. Next turn, I send out Pixaros and use 2 bites to KO. He sends out Excadrill and we use Flame Burst, doing a lot of damage, but not enough because we get one shot with Bulldoze. I sent out Dawkins and he's faster going for a Rock Slide, but it wasn't enough because we used Flame Charge to get the win. Whew. That wasn't too bad. After that, we go to Chargestone Cave where we run into In and we battle. And man, Dawkins just had a counter to whatever he sent out. I one-shot all of his Pokemon, winning the match. This is the last time we face him until the end game, so let's enjoy this easy win when we can, because it might be tough later. In Mistriaton City, we talk to Skyla and she tells us that if we want to face her, we gotta go to Celestial Tower first. So we go do that, and I'm not even mad about it because we could finally get our next encounter being Litwick. This will be our last encounter for a while, but she's gonna be a monster. Just you wait, guys. Oh, and I'm not gonna lie, I did forget to name her. Anyways, we meet up with Skyla and talk for a bit, and with that, we face the flying type gym. I sent out Strudel and one-shot Swoobat with a crit fire punch. Oh man, I feeling bad already. Next is Swanna and they use Aqua Ring while we use Thrash. Next turn they use Bubble Beam, but it wasn't enough, so we go for another Thrash, getting the KO. She sends out Unfezant and uses Air Slash to KO Strudel. I sent out Pixel Rolls and used 2 Flame Bursts to get the win. No joke, this took like 3 minutes. It's crazy. We leave, and at Twist Mountain, we run into Sharon who wants to battle, and man, what a surprise. Once he sends out Dewott, we almost got our whole team wiped. He would use Aqua Jet and Water Pulse to take out my team. I did make him go to sleep and eventually KO him with Rollout, but this is where it really went wrong. Dawkins leveled up and was learning Assurance, so I went ahead and taught it to him. The only problem is that the move I got rid of was Rollout. So when Simisear came out, I didn't have a move that did enough damage to knock it out, so he knocked me out instead. Crazy. Let's try this again. So I send out Pixel Rolls and use Yawn and stall until Dewott gets put to sleep. Then I switch into Strudel and use Thrash to get the KO. After that, I destroyed the rest of his team, no problem. But I'll be lying if I said it only took 2 attempts. It was more like 8. After the fight, Strudel evolved into Darmanitan, and I'm low-key worried. We had an Eviolite on him this whole time, so now he just won't be as bulky. So I'm a bit concerned, but I think we'll be okay. Also, Dawkins evolved as well and turned into an Emboar. The funny thing about these 2 Pokemon evolving is that they didn't evolve at the level they were supposed to, so both of them didn't have Hammer Arm. I just thought that was kind of funny. So we head to a Sirius City where we can just go straight to the gym leader, so let's go do that. And man, I think I was just having a little too much fun with it because I sent out Litwick and used 3 Flame Bursts to get the KO. I honestly thought I was gonna do better, but it's fine. He sends out Beartick and uses Brine to KO us. So I sent out Strudel and one-shot him with Fire Punch. And then he sends out his last Pokemon and I use Flare Blitz because why not? Man, what a nice squash match. After doing a bit of story, run to Bianca where we fight for the final time. Let's see how this goes. I sent out Pixel Rolls and used Flame Burst 3 times to get the KO. For some reason, Scoutland kept using Workup, so it never landed a hit. She sends out Simipour and we use Yawn before going down to 2 Scalds. I sent out Strudel and used Thrash to get the KO. Superior is next and we're still stuck on Thrash, so we used that and got a crit, leaving him on red HP, but she heals and we use another Thrash, but it wasn't nearly as strong. It finally ends, and being confused, we land a Fire Punch to KO. She sends out her last Pokemon, Musharna, and we use Flare Blitz, almost getting the KO. I swear this happens way too often, shaking my head. She lands a Hypnosis and then heals next turn. After that, we get hit with a Psybeam going down. I send out Litwick and use Will-O-Wisp and Hex to KO, getting the win. All I can say is that Bianca was spamming those heals like crazy. With that, we have a conversation with the Dragon type gym leaders where we can now face our last gym leader, Iris. We're gonna go straight into the meat and potatoes and face her last Pokemon, Haxorus. We use Yawn while they miss a Dragon Tail. Next turn, we use Flame Burst, not doing much at all, while they finally land the Dragon Tail, KOing Pixel Roll. But now she's asleep, so I send out Strudel and use a Flare Blitz. Next turn, she wakes up and uses Dragon Dance while we use a Fire Punch, leaving her on red HP. And then she heals. We were able to land 2 Thrashes before going down to a single Dragon Tail, which is insane. But we might still have a chance. She's on low HP, so I send out Litwick and we get hit with Assurance. I thought it was over, but we live with 2 HP. We used Flame Burst, but it wasn't enough, losing the match. We were so close, man. Honestly, I probably would have won if we used Flare Blitz again instead of Fire Punch. Also, being at the level cap would have helped, but let's not worry about the small stuff. Let's try again. We got Fracture to 1 HP after using an Arm Thrust and a Flamethrower, but she heals and they kept using Dragon Dance, so we used Flame Charge and Arm Thrust to KO Fracture. She sends out Druddigan and we were able to land a flamethrower and arm thrust before getting hit with Dragon Tail, forcing us to switch into Strudel. We use Fire Punch and we get hit with Night Slash. Next turn she heals and we use another Fire Punch, not doing much at all. So I switch into Litwick and we get hit with a Night Slash, but we tank it and land a burn. Next turn they use another Night Slash, but because of burn and the Eviolite we were holding, we live with 4 HP and land a Hex. After that we knock each other out. She sends out Haxorus and we use Thrash while they go for a Dragon Dance. Next turn we get taken out with Slash. So I send out Pixelroll and Haxorus sets up another Dragon Dance while we use Yawn next turn. I don't know how, but we go first using Dig and they miss, putting her to sleep. We finally land the Dig and after that we spam 2 Flame Bursts to win the fight. Man, that was a little tough, I can't lie. Now that that's out of the way, we fight Sharon for the last time. We use Flame Burst while they set up a Razor Wind. So next turn we use Dig knowing that we can't do damage, but they won't land nothing either. But they did set up a taunt. Next turn we use a crit Flame Burst to KO Unfezant. He sends out Samurott and since taunt is still active, we can't use Yawn. So I set Litwick and go back into Pixelroll and use Yawn before going down to an Aqua Tail. I sent out Dawkins and got lucky because they used Encore while we do some damage to Samurott, putting him to sleep. I switch into Strudel and use 3 Thrashes to KO. He sends out Lipard and uses Night Slash and with 2 Thrashes we KO. He sends out his last Pokemon and we were able to land a Fire Punch before going down to a Flame Burst. I sent out Dawkins and use Arm Thrust to win the match, beating Sharon for the last time. Now the only thing we gotta do is beat the Elite Four in and Gatsis. But before we do that, we finally evolve Litwick into Lampid and then evolve it again into Chandelure. We also got our last encounter, Heatmore, that we also didn't name, but it's fine. On another note, I EV trained all my Pokemon because I finally figured out how to do that, and while I was doing that, I wondered how many Nuzlocke I could have won if I just knew how to EV train. But that's for another time. With that, let's fight the Elite Four. The first one I went for was Chantel, and I think I created a monster because we one-shot Cofidrigus and Golurk with Shadow Ball, and then we almost one-shot Jellicent, but she lives with 1 HP and we get hit with a Surf, but we live with 25 HP. Oh, Chandelure is insane. She heals and this time we one-shot Jellicent and Chandelure with Shadow Ball, winning the fight. Man, that was unbelievable. Next is Grimsley and I used 2 Brick Breaks to KO Scrafty. We did get hit with Sand Attack though. Next is Krookodile and yeah, we miss. So we get taken out by Earthquake. I send out Dawkins and immediately get taken out with another Earthquake. I send out Pixelrolls and we finally land a Brick Break before getting one shot with Earthquake. And Heatmore didn't stand a chance either, getting taken down by you know what, Earthquake. I genuinely thought we were gonna get wiped, so I sent out my last Pokemon Chandelure and used Flame Burst and we KO. That was surprising. He sends out Lipard and I use another Flame Burst, leaving her on 1 HP. Bruh. How unlucky. We get hit with a Night Slash and we live. So next turn we go back and forth with Flame Burst and full restores until he runs out of heals. After a little bit we KO Lipard. He sends out his last Pokemon Bisharp and we use a Flame Burst to KO, winning the match. Chandelure coming in clutch again. I swear we would have lost. The next fight is gonna be Caitlyn, but I think we should switch it up and use Heatmore instead. So we use 2 Shadow Claws while we get hit with Psychic and Thunder to KO us. Well, that was a flop. I send out Pixelroll and then she heals, and it just looks like the start of the match again. We use 2 bites before getting one shot by a crit Psychic. Alright, fine. I'll send out Chandelure, but she's gonna regret this. And yeah, we one shot all 4 of her Pokemon with Shadow Ball. Yeah, this thing gotta be banned, because that is broken. With that, we fight the last Elite Four member, Marshall. I sent out Pixelroll and used Acrobatics and it was worthless, because we get hit with a crit Stone Edge, knocking us out. Now what? That was literally my whole strategy. I know, it was bad. I send out Heatmore and use a Flame Burst to KO. Next is Salk and we use Flame Burst and they use Stone Edge and somehow we live. It was crazy. With another Flame Burst, we KO. He sends out Conkeldurr and we land one last Flame Burst that actually did a lot of damage before going down to a Stone Edge. I send out Strudel and use Flare Blitz to KO. He sends out his last Pokemon, Mienshao, and we use Flare Blitz to one-shot him. Holy cow. I wasn't expecting that in one shot, but I'll take it. With that, we can face in for the last time. Reshiram is faster using Fusion Flare, not doing much at all. We use Head Smash and we leave it on red HP. Alright, this is where my brain stopped working for a sec, cause in my head, we went first, so next turn, knowing he would heal, we used Flamethrower and it did just enough damage, so when it's our turn, we use Head Smash to KO. But we are not faster, getting taken down by a Fusion Flare. Yeah, that was dumb. I sent out Strudel and used 2 digs to KO. His next Pokemon is Costa, so we used Hammer Arm and it wasn't enough. We left it on yellow, not even red HP. Dude, how bulky is this Costa? My attack is no joke. I think it was around 190. This is crazy. We get taken out with Stone Edge. I send out Pixarolls and use Brick Break to KO. He sends out Archeops and I don't have anything strong against it, so I decided to use Yawn. And I'm glad I did because we get one shot with Stone Edge. So knowing this thing hits hard, I send out Heatmore and maybe we could land a hit, but nope, we get one shot again. Well, at least it's asleep. I send out Chandelure and use Flame Burst and then Shadow Ball to KO. That could have been scary. His next Pokemon is Clang, which is actually Zoroark. So we use Flame Burst and we get hit with Night Slash. I thought it was over, but we live with 19 HP. We just did the impossible. With that, we Flame Burst Zoroark, Clang, and then Vanillux, winning the fight. I honestly didn't think we were gonna be able to win first try. Chandelure proving again why it's so broken. Alright, so now we have to fight Getsis, and oh boy, was it rough. The main problems were Seismitoad and Hydreigon. Seismitoad is obviously a water type, so Muddy Water and Earthquake was disgusting, wiping my whole team. Also, I forgot it was part ground, so one time I tried using Wild Charge and it didn't work, so that was funny. And with Hydreigon, it knows Surf, and yeah, that's all you need to know. Just know these 2 Pokemon were my main downfalls. With that, let's face Getsis again. With Chandelure, we use Shadow Ball to KO Cofagrigus. His next Pokemon is Bouffalant, so I switch into Strudel, and we get hit with Earthquake, leaving us with 18 HP. We use Hammer Arm, but we miss. This was not part of the plan. We get KO'd next turn. I send out Dawkins and use Brick Break while he uses Head Charge, leaving both of us real low. He heals, but with 2 Brick Breaks, we KO. His next Pokemon is Seismitoad, and before we go down, we set up a sunny day. I'm sure you know where this is going. I send out Chandelure and use Solar Beam to KO. Oh, it's too easy. He sends out Bisharp, but we just use Flame Burst to one-shot. Next is Hydreigon, so I switch into Heatmore and maybe we could land a Focus Blast, but nope, we get taken out with 2 Dragon Pulses. Maybe if I had a safe switch, we could have landed, but then again, Focus Blast doesn't have the best accuracy, so it's okay. I send out Pixaroll and use Brick Break while he goes for a Surf, and we live with 7 HP. Now, I know I don't look hype, but I was losing my mind. We use another Brick Break before going down to a Focus Blast. I send out Chandelure and use Flame Burst to finally knock it out. His last Pokemon is Electros, and we use Shadow Ball while he goes for a Crunch. We live, and with another Shadow Ball, we beat the game. And it's about time I beat this game. I've done a whole bunch of challenges, and I've never won. So winning just hits different this time around. So I hope you enjoyed the video. And I will go ahead and apologize because this video was actually supposed to drop last Friday on the 10th, but I got super busy and I just couldn't finish it on time, and it sucks too because I was super close, but yeah, I was just extremely busy over the weekend, so I had 0 time. But I will have another video posted next Friday, and hopefully by the end of the month I'll have another Pokemon video waiting for you. So with that, I hope you have a great rest of your day, and I'll see you next time.